and be like, I can't hear me anyway.
Jeremy Larkin here with the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive with Jesse Paul.
Good morning, everybody.
Folks, I'm in my Ironman volunteer captain gear. We're going to talk about that today. Amongst other things, we're going to talk about Ironman St. George. We're going to talk about traffic impacts. Good morning, Andy.
Morning.
Andy,
you doing all right?
Amazing. Yeah. How many people have called in and complained about the Ironman so far?
Well, most people have transitioned to text, but I have gotten quite a few texts saying, "Oh, the traffic's already bad."
Yeah. You know, interesting. We're going to talk about my perspective on whether people being inconvenienced is actually a proper barometric measurement as to whether something is good or not.
Here's what's funny about that. It took me. I flew into LaGuardia in New York last week to go visit my son. And it took me.
we were both at LaGuardia within
to get out of town, to get across the river to New Jersey, to go north to Saugerties, is not that far. Literally took me an hour. Mm-hmm. So I would, with that perspective, I would argue that it's really not that bad. It's
an interesting situation because we're going to talk about, guys. We're talking about Ironman St. George. We're going to talk about how do you benefit from the event coming to St. George, Utah. I've got my Ironman captain's cap on from last year, my shirt on from this year. I've been involved for 12 of the last, I mean, there was a year I think they were off. Maybe they were off, or maybe I was out of town, but at least 12 years I've been involved.
Yeah.
We're talking about Ironman, what it means, actual impact to the community beyond traffic delays. We understand people are frustrated because, by the way, everyone's inconvenienced. And this is actually kind of ironic.
Yeah.
The people who are pitching Ironman are being inconvenienced, right? Everyone's inconvenienced. But we'll talk about that. And we're going to talk about the fact that, or the question, how on earth could the real estate market continue to grow? There was an article this week, I think it was KSL News. They said, how can people continue to buy homes at high prices and high interest rates? What percentage are purchasing in cash? It was 25% in Salt Lake City. I would guess it's probably more like 30%
down here. Yeah, I would agree with that.
But Jesse, we're going to talk about it, aren't we?
We are.
Aren't we? Andy, so what are people saying? Like if by the way, Ironman St. George is 2 days from now, and I'm not a competitor. I am a volunteer captain, which means that I'll be involved in leading a large group of probably 40 volunteers at Transition 2, which is down at Town Square, which is where they come off the bike, leave their bike, get on the shoes, and run a half marathon. Andy, what are people saying?
Well, you know, the reaction I'm getting from the public is two things. Number one is, a lot of people here. That's a good thing. And as far as, promoting local businesses and stuff. But then there is a subcurrent of people who are not happy because of the traffic problems.
Yeah. So I understand this. I had some conversation last night with the Greater Zion Convention folks, and I want to share something this morning on the screen. So for those who are checking us out, by the way, guys, facebook.com/St. George Experts. You can watch us on Facebook. We are live on Facebook. How about that? How cool is that? So this is the traffic impacts map. And I was talking with Chad McWilliams last night of Greater Zion. And it's actually kind of fascinating because here's what I'm seeing, Andy, on Facebook. And it's usually like the Facebook St. George Word of Mouth, also known as Complainers Forum. That's my nickname. And people are like, we're trapped all day. Okay. This is factually not true. No, it is not true. You're aware, correct, Andy? There is a slip lane. The slip lane is the little side lane that they installed, that they basically organize with cones to make sure you're not trapped. We're talking all the way down SR 18, all the way down State Route 18. Those people can leave.
Okay, so they can still get out.
Absolutely, they can get out. Look, guys, you can't have an event where you trap civilians and you can't have emergency services get in.
That's true.
Do you guys realize that the entire city of Boston, have you ever talked to somebody who ran the Boston Marathon? I did 2 nights ago. And she said, listen, the entire city closes.
Oh yeah.
And guess what the people do? They go out and cheer the athletes on. Now, the argument, Andy, is the average income of your Ironman athlete is $140,000 a year. And you have to realize you're starting to get into this socioeconomic resentments and weird stuff when you start seeing that. Why do people have to volunteer? Okay, so some of the kids that are going to volunteer at Town Square, when the event's over, there are hundreds of these racks that hold the bikes. There'll be 2,000 people who will volunteer. You know, some of the kids are coming over. A huge group from Water Canyon High School, Hilldale.
That's cool.
They're going to come over. All these young kids, mainly boys, who grew up, they know how to work.
They do.
You grew up in Hilldale, Colorado City. They know how to work.
And they know how to serve.
And you should have seen them last year. There's pizza. There's leftover bananas. And then they went over and they tore these racks down. It was 90 degrees in a flurry, right? Our high school mountain biking team gets involved. Most of the high school mountain biking team get involved. They have something called the Ironman Foundation. They actually do give proceeds back. The first thing I want to say is this. I've heard, well, one of these yahoos said, we're being expected to leave our jobs and volunteer that day. Actually, you're not. You're not expected to do a darn thing. 2,000 volunteers will be involved. That's number one. Number two, volunteering is a great experience. The whole premise of volunteering is volunteering. They'll be like, well, who's paying the volunteers? Ironman should pay them. They don't need volunteers. Actually, I don't think you understand volunteering because you clearly don't volunteer if that's your attitude. You clearly haven't had any experiences really of going out and just giving your time.
Isn't that actually how all events are run like that with a massive volunteer?
Well, St. George Marathon. St. George Marathon doesn't come out without volunteers. Okay.
Well, I would dare say any event like that, clear across the world, is run on volunteers.
Yeah, correct. They're run on volunteers. That's my number 2 point. And my number 3 point is this, guys. Let's talk about Greater Zion. Let's talk about the actual impact. Okay. So I said something earlier, Andy. I said, is inconvenience the measurement as to whether something is good or bad? I'm going to ask you a question, Andy.
Okay.
Is it inconvenient to get up really early in the morning and exercise your body, especially when you feel old and tired like all of us three guys do?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So is that a measurement of whether getting up early and exercising is good or bad?
No. It's a measure of how lazy we are.
How motivated I am.
Andy, how many children do you have?
5.
Okay, 5. How many I'm going to ask you a very specific question. How many are boys?
I have 3 boys.
Okay. Growing up here, predominant faith that I did in St. George, Utah, boys often get asked to go do things like move the neighbor in church organizations. How many times, Andy, did you ask your boys, it's time to go help the Smiths move? And they were like, Dad, we've been waiting for you to invite us. Thank you. Can we go an hour early?
Hey, one of my most memorable experiences with my boys was when we remember the church used to own an orchard out there in Hearn.
I sure do.
And going and thinning apricots and peaches and getting in to throw them at each other.
I've thinned the peaches many times.
Yeah. And, they didn't want to go, just like you were saying. They're like, no, man, we didn't have. But once we got out there and we're serving and doing that, it was just an amazing experience.
Yes.
That's cool.
So inconvenience is not the barometric measurement as to whether something is good. And the last thing I'm going to share.
That's a good point.
The last thing I'm going to share, and I'm going to move on and talk about real estate, guys. I love being involved. I've been involved for 12 years. Let me give you an alternative attitude. I have a 22-year-old daughter. She works at St. George Running Company. And we're going to talk about the flow of money, and we're going to talk about an attitude and the flow of money here. She says to me this week, Dad, I have to work at 10 a.m. at the running center. Is there any way I can be involved in Ironman? I just love it. I just think it's so fun. I said, Abigail, well, you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go to Sand Hollow with me, and we can volunteer there before I go and spend the day at Town Square. I said, you might even have to get up at 3:30. I don't care.
She wants to do it.
Let's talk about this. They put $1 million of this money, the Convention Bureau, into the 12 new pickleball courts, Andy, down at Little Valley. $1.75 million. These are not, by the way, these are numbers I was given. You could sit and split hairs. $1.75 million to the new Sun Bowl. So let's say you don't play pickleball and you don't do Ironman. Okay, well, let's say you're a cowboy and you care about the Sun Bowl and you want a rodeo arena downtown. I do. I'm not a cowboy. Jesse, I don't own a horse. I haven't ridden a horse in a very long time. I don't intend to own a horse. Yep. I probably won't ride a horse very long, and I'm not a rodeo guy. You know what's exciting to me? The Sun Bowl being renovated.
Yep.
You know what? I don't play much pickleball, almost ever. You know what's exciting to me? 12 new pickleball courts. Next, $2 million to the Hurricane City recreation center.
That's cool.
$2 million. Okay, maybe you live in Hurricane City. Next,
That's cool.
they funded a gigantic chunk to the All Abilities Park in Washington City, and on and on. So here's the deal, guys. I've seen this one. Oh, well, who's going to pay me for being out of work that day? Look, dude. People are out of work all the time for lots of reasons. You get sick, you don't want to go in.
I don't actually like that argument because
it's a horrible argument.
If it was something I wanted to do, I'd be happy to be off work. In fact, I'd find a way to be off work
Correct.
if it was something that I actually wanted to do. And most of us are like that.
Here's the flow of money.
So it's just a place to reach for something to be upset about.
Mm-hmm. What was the last place you went to eat? Where's your last place? Be honest.
Chubby's.
Chubby's.
Yeah,
the new one off of 200.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was good. It was
By the way,
surprisingly good.
Show's brought to you today by our friends at Guild Mortgage. Side note, Chantry Abbott. Love that guy. Love Chantry and Steve Stout. Guild Mortgage guys, please reach out to us if you want to get connected to them directly. Guild Mortgage. Okay, Chubby's. All right. So you went into Chubby's. What'd you buy?
Mushroom Swiss burger.
Perfect.
The mushroom bacon Swiss burger.
Well,
was good.
how the heck
Oh, it was good.
How the heck does Teresa, who was working on the line, making your burger, her pay doesn't benefit Steve over in Larkin, does it?
Her pay?
Yeah. How does that benefit Steve in Larkin? That doesn't benefit him.
Well, if she actually ends up in Larkin and maybe shops at a store in Larkin or pays local taxes, a lot of our taxes go to different cities in Washington County.
What might Teresa do with what might Teresa use her money for that she receives for working at Chubby's yesterday? She pay your utilities?
You pay utilities.
She buy a car?
She buy a car.
She go to another restaurant?
Grocery shopping.
She goes to groceries?
Mm-hmm.
She buys shoes for her kids?
Everything.
So guys, this is called the flow of money. And I think the insanity is that I have to actually explain this on the radio. Like this is like, it's mind-boggling that we have to explain how money flows. This is how money works. It's an ecosystem, right? So when you say, how does this benefit me, right? Side note, well, I don't want, so here's what I learned yesterday. We'd all be paying about $1,500 individually in local taxes more per year for all the amenities. And then I'm gonna make an argument for both sides.
That's
Ready?
actually the argument that I said, man. Because all these events happen, I believe my taxes are less because of all those events. I truly believe that.
Correct. Well,
I don't know if it's true, but I think
$1,500.
I think it
well,
is.
I don't use the trails.
Doesn't matter.
And Jesse, what do we talk about?
Doesn't matter.
the
So
phone.
what I said,
Do you want to live in a good community?
I live in Hurricane.
Yeah.
Okay. My kids went to Hurricane High School, but my taxes, because I work in the state of Utah and I live in the Washington County area, will pay for Crimson High School.
Isn't that interesting?
It doesn't matter if I benefit from it. It's because I live here.
Isn't that interesting? You know, guys, I'll leave you with this and let's talk. This is Jeremy Larkin here, St. George Real Estate Morning Drive, Jesse Paul. We're talking about Ironman. I'm in my Ironman shirt today and hat. I'm not an Ironman athlete this year. I mean, I'd love to actually do it sometime, but I'm one of the volunteer directors. It is a great thing for the community. I realize it's inconvenient. I realize it causes traffic mayhem. I live downtown. Literally, I will come and go to the event on my bicycle from above Main Street. That's how I will get there to Town Square. I realize there will be people who can't work that day normally. I understand that. Chris Connors, who owns Farmstead Bakery, one of our close friends, shared something really interesting. And this would be and then I want to ask you a question, Jesse, about what this market is doing. I want to tell you the parting shot. And the reason I can speak for Chris is this was actually in a text message. And then he went on to the St. George word of mouth page where there was a lot of debating going on. And he actually copied and pasted, literally, he copied and pasted this same text. This guy is at the epicenter of Ironman, where you can't even function. He said, I love the special events in St. George. This is Farmstead Bakery and FS Coffee Company, both right at where the transition is. It just decimates their sales that day. Recap about Jeremy's text. I love special events in St. George. The city usually embraces it. Ironman has become somewhat of a headache for most, including downtown small businesses. True. I love the idea of Ironman, someone working hard toward a goal and accomplishing something most people can't fathom. I think a regular Ironman is great. The reason we have families and individuals partaking for the first time. The participants usually bring family and friends with them. You got $10 million per event, and we talked about it. There is a benefit to you, right? The championships are a bit different when they had the world championships, right? These are Ironman professionals. Their friends and families have seen them race many times. Last year, there was significantly less people because it was not a championship. Last year, for the first week of May, was a complete dud for my business, down 25% from the year prior, but in all caps. I'm willing to take a week of poor sales on the chin for the betterment of the city as a whole. The fences going up and all of that is necessary. Fences go up on that main street on Tabernacle in Maine today, right?
Right.
Is necessary. I get it. All in all, it's a positive environment, which I love. I wouldn't mind if I didn't see I wouldn't be me if I didn't see a negative and try to find a positive. My solution, have the finish line in a specific place that won't impede so much traffic, such as Town Square. The only thing that upsets me is the grass gets trampled and they have to reseed it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here's the deal. Someone said, I won't say who, one of the Main Street businesses, that it cost him X number of $1,000s not being open the day of Ironman. You ready for my argument? Here goes. Athletes were coming here for the entire week before you closed on Saturday. And they came the whole year between because they figured out what St. George was, and they go downtown and they want to go to the venue and they want to see the finish line and they want to see the start line, and they train all downtown. I watch them downtown train months in advance. Your business actually got that money and much more before and after the event, much more before and after the event, even though Saturday you took a hit on the chin, and I understand it. Jesse, let's try.
I have a comment. I would wonder what would happen. So if your business isn't impacted, what if you could start thinking about, instead of, oh, this sucks, how could I actually make sure my business is positively impacted during this event?
Oh, I love it.
Because if you're not, it's because you're not thinking about it.
How do I promote around it?
And you could actually turn that negative into a very good positive.
I like it.
With just a little tweak of your business.
I love it. I really love that. Yeah. How do I plan around it? How do I make it something that really works for me? Mm-hmm. How do I talk about the Ironman event in a way that people are excited? Mm-hmm. Jesse, what's happening in the real estate market? This is a fun show today. We should have a lot of this show about this today.
Right.
So guys, good luck to the competitors.
It's a big deal in the community.
Guys, if you live along the affected traffic routes, I get it. I get it. It's not convenient tomorrow or Saturday. It's fully is. And this is the kind of community we live in. We are a resort town. We do these kinds of things. What's the market doing? I mean, certainly it should be going down because prices are pretty darn high. Interest rates are way too high in my opinion.
Interest rates dropped and then they went back up. But ironically, it's staying strong. If I look at the track record, right, the sold to list ratio, sellers are getting more and more money for their homes.
Tell us about your list to sell ratio.
Let's say, for instance, if you were at $100,000, our sold to list ratio for the market is 96.3%.
What is that though?
So that means if you put your home on the market for $100,000, on average you could expect to get $96,000. So 96%, and it's averaging out the whole market. So the only reason I'm bringing that up is because every month it's gone up. Okay, January it was 95.4, February 95.9, March 96.2. So every month it continues to go up. I would expect that to actually go down when interest rates go up, but it didn't.
Yeah,
it got stronger. Inventory levels are going down. In February, we had 4 months of inventory, which is just on the cusp of a seller's balanced market. March, it was 3.9. In April, it's 3.89. So it's going down.
Isn't that amazing?
We would expect as the
it
gets more expensive.
Because I'm looking at some listings here while we're talking. Are there homes? Okay, you're saying that sellers are getting an average of 96 cents, 96% of what they're asking.
Yep.
Are there homes that are selling for more than they're asking?
Yeah, there are.
I heard about a bidding war this week on a $2 million property.
Here's what's interesting. You've got under 500,000 and then the luxury market, which these days is over 2 million.
Yeah.
Those two markets have stayed strong. Mm-hmm. Between 6 and 1.9, a little bit different story. It's a little bit tougher to find the right price, or what I call the sweet spot. Mm-hmm. but if you under 5 or over 2 is a much different story.
What is the greatest fear do you feel like of sellers collectively, not one seller, but like we're talking collectively? What do you think the greatest fear of a seller is when they go to market right now?
That they're going to give their house away.
Mm-hmm.
That they're not getting enough money for it.
Yeah,
is probably the biggest one.
I mean, do you ever have this conversation where you ask, "Well, define"? I mean, do you ever ask a seller to say, "Define what would giving your home away look like to you"?
I do, and they usually can't answer that. Like, it's
a feeling, right?
Yeah, it's
a feeling. I don't want to give my home away.
Here's one of the biggest troubles we have that I watch sellers is for some reason we put a number on it in our heart before we ever figure out what a buyer will pay. And when that happens, because we're so emotionally connected to our houses, it's almost like an act of God to come off of that, because we've spent the money.
So true.
We've spent the money before we've even got a buyer.
Yeah. In
our minds, in our hearts, in our soul, it's gone. So now we need it. I need that much money.
Yeah.
The problem with that is if you're not the buyer, you don't know how much it's going to bring. You just don't. Nobody can tell you.
Yeah.
This is what your house is going to bring, because we are not the buyer.
Yeah.
We have to test the market.
Yeah. I don't intend to purchase your home. And every day that you sit on the market at a price that the market won't bear, you purchase it back from yourself.
Those that sit on the market the longest usually will get the least amount of money.
One of the things we talk about often is congratulations, Jesse.
You're the highest bidder on your
You're the
home.
highest bidder. He got it.
Yeah.
Isn't it fun to be the highest
bidder? Hey, every
bidder?
once in a while I get it.
Yeah, congrats. You won the bid. What bid? On your home.
Yep.
Because you say it's worth $523,000, and we've been on the market for 2 to 3 to 4 to 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
And
no one's offering, no one's even coming to the house, right? There's nobody walking in. Got 2 minutes. Perfect. So I love getting this framework. Here's what I want. I want to make a recommendation for sellers. In the month of May, we are spending a significant amount of time at the Larkin Group. By the way, we are a real estate organization brokered with Keller Williams Realty. We help people manage their wealth in real estate, buy, sell, invest. Our team is committed to meeting with a lot of folks this month. And what we're doing is we're producing professional home equity reports. A professional home equity report is we take a look at your home. We produce a printed, documented, very detailed professional market analysis. It's not an appraisal, but it has elements of that, letting you know exactly what your home would likely sell for in this market and how much equity you have that you're sitting on.
Right. If
you'd like us to do so, if you'd love to get a professional home equity report, I want you to just visit us at gostgeorge.com. That's GOSTgeorge.com. GOSTgeorge.com. That's one way. I'm just going to show you here. When you get there, just go ahead and, contact us, okay? You can also come over and you can do this. You can click on a home value link right on the home page, and you can come in and say, how much is your home worth? Well, we could say that it's 1976 West Sunstar. Well, why am I putting that in? That's one of our brand new listings in Sun River. It's a Windsong plan. And if I do that, you'll notice it. I just put that address in, and it auto-suggested the full address, St. George, Utah, 84790. You're going to click about 3 or 4 things, and you're going to see an estimated home value on that property, right?
Yep.
Or can they just find us on Google?
Yep. Just Google the Larkin Group and give us a call.
Yeah. And say, hey, I'd love a professional home equity report or a home. I need an equity. What did you guys call it on radio? I don't know. We will literally come out, take a look at your home. If you don't want us to come out and look at the home physically, we'd ask you to upload some photos for us. And that's pretty simple operation in today's environment with things like smartphones. And we will produce an equity and outlet report. And here's the cool part. It's free. Start there. Start there. Jesse, I'd love this as we wrap up. If you set a price on your home in your head before you know what it's worth, he said, an act of God. It's very true.
Well, if we've already spent that money in our head, it is just so difficult to let go of.
It's so difficult.
It's so difficult
to come back
because it's
from that
become a
ledge.
need.
Yeah.
Like almost like food.
Yeah.
A need.
Yep. There you go.
It seems silly, but it's true.
Jeremy Larkin, Jesse Paul, Larkin Group, KW Realty. Check out, just Google Ironman traffic impacts. Make sure you know what's going on this weekend. It'll be inconvenient. A lot of money is going to flow into town. It's going to flow like a river in all sorts of weird ways, over and out.
Thanks for having us.
Mm-hmm.